last thing to go here, waiting on the internet to say yes, and then I'm going to start. Come on. Okay, I think that's working. So, get my script here. Everybody's ready. I think we're going to just roll. So let's get this party going. Welcome, everyone, to Mammoth Voices, presented by Eastern Sierra Now. We're thrilled to have each and every one of you joining us today for this special Zoom meeting. Today's episode promises to be an engaging and enlightening session as we host the 2nd District candidates featuring the incumbent Rhonda Duggan and Loran Kitts. Both candidates bring a wealth of ideas and visions for our county, and we are excited to provide this platform for a thoughtful discussion. Your presence here is invaluable, and we encourage you to actively participate, ask questions, and be a part of this important conversation that shapes the future of our community. At the right time. After I ask all of my questions to the candidates, we will open the floor to yours. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get going. First off, please turn off your cameras and microphones until asked to turn them on for the Q&A session. And then special thanks to our advertisers, the award-winning Devil's Creek Distillery, bourbon made in Mammoth. They are a grain-to-glass distillery focused on barrel-aged spirits, namely whiskey. They are fully family-owned and operated. We've got the Mammoth Chamber Green Business of the Year, High Point Solar. Call Amy at 760-937-5849 for a free quote and to handle all your solar needs. And last but not least, we would like to invite everyone to the Mammoth Lakes Repertory Theater production of Clue, the original murder mystery. Clue is a thrilling theatrical experience that combines mystery, humor, and interactive engagement, providing audiences with an exhilarating ride filled with suspense and unexpected twists. Clue will be performed at the Mammoth High School starting February 8th and will run through February 25th. And remember, it was not Colonel Mustard with the wrench in the billiard room. I play Colonel Mustard. So, without further ado, let's get on to this. So we're going to dive into the heart of today's forum. The District 2 candidates is Rhonda Duggan and Loran Kitts. Each candidate gets 3 minutes to introduce themselves, followed by a structured Q&A. Questions will be presented incumbent first, as is tradition on Mammoth Voices, with timed responses. After the candidates' responses, we'll open the floor to your questions, so raise your hands or type in the chat box. We appreciate your patience as we are new to this, and we aim to ensure everyone's questions are addressed. Our session will conclude at 1 p.m. Thank you for being here, and let's dive into an enriching dialogue with Rhonda Duggan and Loran Kitts. So first question, Rhonda, is... We're going to give you 5 minutes on this, by the way. The first one will have 5 for both of you because this is a really important topic. There's a lot to be decided on a county level about how to proceed with housing development. What are your ideas for developing workforce housing throughout the county, not just your district? You got 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone, for taking your time today on this beautiful snowy day to talk about all of the issues here in the county. And one of the things that we've been looking at here is affordable housing, because affordable and available housing are truly a crisis point in California, and the needs and solutions vary throughout the state. It's very clear that the remedies are not a one size fits all, and a lot of those particular things coming through from the state don't necessarily fit what we have available here in Mono County or address our issues. Now, Mono County is unique in a lot of ways, and the first is being that there's a lack of private land here in the county to build on. Another unintended consequence is that our only incorporated city, the town of Mammoth Lakes, is about 70% available if it's bed-based to short-term rentals, which is very unique. A lot of other communities are between 20 and 25%. So that does provide a particular challenge. And we are having no land to build on. And There is 94% of the land here is public lands. And whether it's the Department of Water and Power, Department of LADWP and the Bureau of Land Management, they're all competing for the very same housing that we are within our districts. So we're looking for solutions that work a little bit differently than other communities. And a lot of that is reaching out to those public lands to address their own housing problem on the public lands. And we're working at that at a federal level. Also, we look for different solutions in different communities. Sometimes some things work in the north part of the county and they don't in the others. But we work very closely with the Eastern Sierra Housing Authority, which was formerly Mammoth Lakes Housing, to look for land acquisition in areas that make things work a little bit easier, mortgage assistance programs. And we've also worked a lot with accessory dwelling units and making sure that those are available in a lot of areas there, with streamlining the whole process with that. And lately at the board level, there's been a discussion on how to better use RVs, trailers, and encourage more private RV parks to have a lot of options year round. We can encourage that. Now, whether you have the availability is not really put here by the board. That is actually something that the state tells you which ones can qualify, but there's a lot of solutions that we're still continuing to look at throughout the county and work with agencies to build our funding that allows us to address it in the areas that it makes the most sense.
I started talking and I didn't unmute myself. Thank you so much, Rhonda. Okay, Loran,
Happens
same
all the
question. All right, let me repeat the question. There is a lot to be decided on a county level about how to proceed with housing development. What are your ideas for developing workforce housing throughout the county, not just your district? You got 5 minutes.
Well, thank you for having me on here today. I am at a disadvantage not being an incumbent, and we've also been isolated over here in the Tri-Valley for a long time between COVID and the road closures and other issues, and lack of participation by our own public here on the issues of the day. I have no understanding or of the programs that are being introduced here. I will say that affordable housing for these really important people is something that really needs to be of concern. We years ago had a proposal or an idea, I would say, about building low-income housing in this neighborhood and busing people in and out of Mammoth. That was met with a lot of resistance here by our most loud people about, Mammoth keeping its own working class people over there. Personally, I don't see how hardworking people coming into this community would be a real problem. In fact, I think that our businesses might do a little better. Our school would certainly do better, and we just may have benefits from that we do not really understand yet. So anyway, thank you for the question.
Thank you, Lauren. Okay, let's get to the next question here. Rhonda, we will start with you. As a supervisor, you would be representing the entire county. Can you please name the top 3 issues that are confronting Mono County? This one will give you 3 minutes.
Thank you. Well, clearly housing solutions are the number one on most people's mind, and that's actually through the entire region, the Eastern Sierra, because we rely on the services of our neighboring counties, and particularly in the Tri-Valley area is very dependent on services for Bishop. And in the north part of the county, we're very aligned with Alpine County too, and looking at those issues. So we're not talking just about what benefits one particular area. It's how do we work to solutions for everyone. Along with that would be addressing the infrastructure of the community as well. And because that is so vital to not only having the housing, but being able to support the people that live throughout the rest of the area. And if you live in the unincorporated areas of the county, which District 2 is all unincorporated area of the county, you're reliant on the county, special districts, and independent agencies for the things that make your life happen. And that's road maintenance, snow removal, water, sewer, solid waste, fire and emergency services. And those are being addressed by partner agencies. And it's very important that all of those are functioning at the best level possible. But I'd say the number one thing that we were told as a county before all of this happened was disaster preparedness. And we were told by someone working with us on governance that we weren't really as ready as we thought. And we all thought it would be fire. And look what happened last winter. So we learned a lot through those situations of how to communicate with the public to be ready for not only what you know and how to address that, but for the things that may change. And everything is changing every single day. And the three things that I would look at to that we really address is the housing, our infrastructure, and being ready for whatever Mother Nature brings us.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that. Okay, now we are going to move back to Loran on the same question. And Loran, I had to mute your tablet. There was some microphone noises coming from it, so you'll need to unmute before you can speak again. There we go. Perfect. Gotcha. Okay, same question. As a supervisor, you'd be representing the entire county. Can you please name the top 3 issues that are confronting Mono County? You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, well, I started out at the same thing. Affordable housing is an issue that I'm not up on, but I believe is absolutely something that needs to be addressed for certain. You know, well, these are important people, and we need to be able to keep them housed properly and with good wages too. Second round, I put our roads and snow removal. I don't really know how that's gone in the rest of the district, but I have heard rumors back and forth about the problems that seem to be going on. And third of all, I've got water. Throughout the Eastern Sierra, water issues are a top priority. And even though it's a little easier when we have these extremely wet winters, it has to be on everybody's mind, and a good plan for dealing with that issue is pretty important. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, next question, Rhonda. Could you please speak to the topic of fire resilience and wildfire protection and what is currently being done in the county, and what is your understanding of these projects? You got 3 minutes on this one.
Thank you. Well, disaster preparedness and wildfire resiliency aren't just buzzwords. It's what we live by every day, and we are taking action. The Eastern Sierra Wildfire Resiliency Project, make sure I say that right, because most of us know it as the Donut Project, that will cut a fire break around the town of Mammoth Lakes, and that's a result of unprecedented collaboration between the White Bark Institute and various other partners at the state and local level, even the federal level on this. And we're working together. That is in process now. That not only helps protect the community there, but there's so many other factors that having some real action on wildfire preparedness helps with. And along that, throughout the county, each community, we're building fire-wise communities that help protect us. Fire-safe councils. There is as many recall, the Round Valley fire in the district here was many years ago really affected that community's ability to function and rebuild. And a lot of those practices are being spread throughout the district as well. And working through defensible space, those working with CAL FIRE and the Department of Forestry on really the best ways to help protect your community. Now, all of those, not only protecting the community, they have effect on other abilities to function, which everyone is, especially in this district, are having some real concerns about getting fire insurance here, and taking these actions will help. They're not fail-safe, and by no means those goalposts keep moving on what is required, but that's where we're working very closely at the county to bring that information to everyone and see how they can be much more compliant.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Rhonda. And Lauren, I had to mute your thing again, so you'll need to unclick that. But I will read your question in the meantime. Could you please speak to the topic of fire resilience and wildfire protection and what is currently being done in the county? And what is your understanding of these projects? And you have 3 minutes.
The issue is certainly very serious, but I from a local spot in the Tri-Valley, we have CAL FIRE and we have an excellent volunteer fire department here in Benton. However, that does not cover the Hamel Valley and our need between there and Chalfont too. We are fairly desperate to have a facility in the Hamel Valley to where we can have rapid response in the case of trouble. We have a spread out community. It's not a place where the buildings are close together or the housing is such as it is in other parts of the county. It sounds like this fire break around town is a really good idea, and rapid response is something that the volunteers may be able to help with if there were some stipends and people put on call during the worst of the fire season during the times that are really, really serious. And as far as a lot of other places, there again, I'm sure that it's an issue with all of them, and I'm not really able to speak for the south and north ends of the county that I don't know a lot about. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to our next question here. Rhonda, please name what you consider to be the top 2 challenges facing your district. We're going to do 2 minutes on this one.
Okay, thank you. Well, one of the challenges is that there's 13 separate communities and tribal areas within District 2, and every one of them is different. And we are not a homogeneous area where we have the same issues, but we do have a lot of equal concerns. If you're looking at the north part of the county, north part of the district here, which is Long Valley to Sunny Slopes, it's housing and public services that support the citizens here. Swall Meadows and Paradise are absolutely focused on wildfire resilience and emergency egress programs. As we heard, the residents of the Tri-Valley area are separate communities, but they are facing really tough challenges regarding groundwater management, emergency response, as we've heard, and just the fact that they are so far from the rest of county's resources. They've experienced in the last 3 years, I believe, 3 or 4 once-in-a-lifetime floods in areas that have never flooded before. So their infrastructure is particularly challenged. And what they all share is the improvement of the county infrastructure and response to it. There's been a lot of progress made in the public works and road repair and response time. The 2 new snow removal vehicles are sitting here in District 2 just ready to be deployed. We get to do it today. So what we're also facing, though, is trying to connect, and a broadband and cell service is improving already. So there's a lot to be done out here. A lot of improvements are being made.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Rhonda. Okay, Lauren, let's have the same question for you. Please name what you consider to be the top 2 challenges facing your district, and you'll have 2 minutes. Oh, you'll need to unmute too. I had to mute it. There you go. I'll start your time now.
My first item is roads and snow removal. They are not going well here. The closure of Benton Crossing Road for months was devastating to us here. We've lost jobs. We couldn't get to our medical system, and we were having deputy response times of an hour plus. I'm glad to hear that they're going to be trying to keep it open and moving snow. And I sure hope that we have a plan to get that road repaired and keep it open. I think it's really vital to the future of my community. The second issue is groundwater. That is an issue that there really is no good answer to, and the discussions sometimes seem fruitless, but groundwater issues are really a serious problem here that we better get some sort of a plan in place. And I'm hoping that with all the history of water and violence, that we don't ever get to that point here. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Rhonda, considering that every civic leader has a different leadership style, please share your individual style with us, and how might your style help the council and board be more effective in its strategic planning and implementation? We're going to do 2 minutes.
Thank you. As leaders, we set the tone for everyone in the community. And one of the sayings in our leadership training has been, you bring your own weather. And what that means is you set the tone for the expectations of the community. And this is one of the things that has been so important in the last year. As board chair, you represent the entire community, and you need to be available to them in every disaster, is what we've seen. All communities are represented here equally, and we're listening to what their responses are to things. Absolutely hearing of what happened last winter. The public are the eyes and ears, and we can't make any real decisions about what needs to be done unless we're listening to them and being responsive. It's good to see that certain things are moving forward. I can assure the public that we are addressing Benton Crossing Road. It is scheduled for its major rehaul in fiscal year 25. Repairs were made out there to get us through this winter. And so far, since the winter is just now showing up, we are on top of that and working with all of the communities there to make sure that they're safe throughout it. Another area that I think is really important is that we continue to work with our tribal partners. They are sovereign nations here, and they deserve a seat at the table at all times.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you. All right, Lauren, let's get yours. And I did mute your microphone again. Considering that every civic leader has a different leadership style, please share your individual style with us, and how might your style help the board be more effective in its strategic planning and implementation? You have 2 minutes. And you are muted. Here we go.
Could you just repeat that question there? I lost track of a little bit.
Sure thing. No problem. Let me stop your time. Okay. Considering that every civic leader has a different leadership style, Please share your individual style with us, and how might your style help the board be more effective in its strategic planning and implementation? And you have 2 minutes.
Well, I'm a hands-on kind of a person that has worked all of my life. I understand that, being a supervisor, you have to have a pretty tough skin. I knew Rhonda caught a lot of slack at different times, and she probably handled it pretty well. But I'm going to be out there investigating things that personally that are problems, even short or long term, and I'm going to work towards trying to bring those issues to a satisfactory conclusion. Last winter was terrible, and I tried to exercise patience in my feelings about the problems we were having, but it was pretty difficult at times. So I just think that I'm going to be involved at a little lower level, making sure that I understand what we're going to be voting on and the issues. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, final question here, Rhonda. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process for your district? 2 minutes.
Thank you. Well, I've always worked hard to listen to the public, solicit their information, because they're the eyes and ears of what's happening on the ground. I was in the community at ground zero some days. It was shoveling out community centers, being there when the power is out, and working out exactly what is happening and where we need it. And I really appreciate all the feedback from the community, because we can't make decisions in a vacuum. And I appreciate every comment that comes through to us. That's what I share with the staff. Now, as a board, we operate not individually, but as a team. And it's my job is to continue to be your voice and get your information and input in front of the board, because we are out in the communities. I spend half of my time in the Tri-Valley area working with water issues and air quality issues, infrastructure issues, working with Caltrans and getting roads open and make sure that businesses can function. And I can't do that if I don't hear from you or see what's happening out there. I probably have the dirtiest car in the community because it's everywhere, but that's what it takes. And not afraid to work on the front lines, doing it all the time. I still shovel snow, and I look forward to getting to do more of that and continue to work for my community. It's a calling and it's a passion to be out there and seeing what we can do to help.
Perfect. Thank you, Rhonda. Okay. Lauren, same question, and I did mute your microphone. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process for your district? And you've got 2 minutes. Microphone is still muted.
There we go.
There
Can
we
you hear
go.
me now?
Perfect. Gotcha.
Okay. Repeat the question there one more time, please.
Sure thing. Okay. How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process for your district? And you have 2 minutes.
Well, years ago we had what they called RPAC, and I'm not even sure what that meant, but they were regular meetings with the county over here studying development, and they gave us a good forum for the people in this Tri-Valley to talk about, the future. And of course, in 2008, we had the real estate crash, and really there was no need to have those meetings again. What I can tell you is that up and down this valley, it's pretty easy to stay in contact with what people need. And I will have to be making it a good deal of effort to reach the rest of the district and be at the meetings that they may have and take the answers that or questions to answers and the obvious complaints that tend to come in. So we'll be working towards that.
Okay, thank you for that. All right, so at this point, I have to fess up that at the beginning we had a bit of a tech problem I had to fix, and I completely walked past allowing you to give an opening and say who you are. So let's give you some extra time to do just that right now, and we'll just put your opening and closing together at the same time. You can have 6 minutes to do that. So Rhonda, we'll start with you. Just go ahead and give who you are, what you're after, and how you're going to make it happen.
Thank you. I thought that was me, that I missed something there.
All me. I was clicking buttons and I went, oops, I asked a question.
That's okay. That you just described the job right there. Always be ready for something.
Exactly.
And just a little bit about, for those of you that don't know me, it was when I learned that former supervisor Stump was not going to run again. I was approached by members of the community and other elected officials to pursue this. And I had worked with many other commissions and lived in the area for quite some time, and worked with the hospitality and sales industry in my life here in Mammoth. And I can't think of any better training, because this is truly public service here. And one of the things that I learned very quickly is that you have to engage and you have to listen to people, and that you are their representative. And you will be working with many agencies. A lot of them are not negotiators, but negotiating is what you do. And you have to be willing to work with all kinds of agencies, people's opinions there, to ask for what you need. And I'm not afraid to ask. I have lived here for 35 years, and I cannot imagine living anywhere else. Though we may have different politics or needs or desires, there's one thing that brings us here, and that's the love of the Eastern Sierra. And whether you are a winter person or a summer person or an Eastern Sierra person, we all share those same values to protect the environment, to have sustainable, meaningful lives here. And then we want to be able to share it with people. And it's really surprising when you're out and about, whether you're recreating or meeting somebody in your business or working with those that just want to know about this, and they ask, where do you live? And you say, I live in the Eastern Sierra, and you describe where it is, and they say, you live there. And that look on their face, it tells them that you're being able to live your dream there. And I want to continue to help and support my community in any way I can.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Rhonda. Loran, we're going to give you the same thing. I apologize for not letting you speak at the beginning. So 6 minutes to give everything that you stand for.
Am I muted now?
Nope, you're good to go.
Okay, well, my name is Loran, and I was in the trucking business for many, many years, and we settled in here in 1995, lived in Bishop a while, and then bought this place out here in 97. In 1999, I went to work for Mono County Public Works and was stationed here at the road shop. I have spent 17 years in a snowplow all over the southern half of Mono County, and sometimes that's a very trying situation. You know, snow is really nasty stuff, and it makes people grumpy, and it's very expensive to move around. So, that's basically road repair and snow removal is what I've done for Mono County many times. Rhonda's right. This is one of the most spectacular places in the world, and we need to preserve it, and we need to make sure that what we're doing is sustainable. I am hopeful that whether or not this election goes, however it goes, that we have better communication between my valley here and Mono County government. It's been very trying with COVID and the road closures, and I know everybody's so busy that it's very difficult sometimes to stay up on the communications that I think is absolutely necessary for the people where I live to be properly represented. So I'm hopeful that no matter how it goes, that we have a better relationship with Mono County, and I look forward to being part of that. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you both for that. Now, at this point, we will open up the floor to questions from the audience. If you would like to speak yourself, just go ahead and raise your hand on there and we will click on you or let you know you can. And if you'd like me to ask your question for you, just write it in the chat box. And as they come in, we'll get them in order and we'll try to get everybody done, hopefully by 1 o'clock. So any questions out there? Now is your time.
I have one, Jesse.
Yeah, please do.
Hi, my name is Galen Kinsey, and I know Loran Kitts, and I have met Rhonda several times. I am a resident of Benton, California, in the Tri-Valley area of District 2, and I work in both Inyo and Mono counties. And I have a question for the both of you to answer, and I know that you're both aware of this. It seems like there is a staffing shortage and very difficult, frustrating turnaround time for county services. And the example I could give is a family member had a problem with their benefits, and they had tried for a very long time to contact the county, and they've resorted to having to contact Rhonda to get the problem resolved. And that's really frustrating, knowing that you have to contact the supervisor because personnel at the county cannot do that request for you. So with that said, do you think there is what are your thoughts on a solution or some kind of way to make it easier, especially for people in isolated parts of the county, to get a quick turnaround on their services?
Galen, thank you for that question. Let's start with Loran on this one, and let's see what your thoughts are on that. Just take a couple of minutes. There's no time limit.
All right. Well, whenever you start talking about turnover, you have to start talking about wages. It's very difficult for the county. The county is limited in its expenditures. The federal government does no limits, and the state doesn't seem to have many limits on what they can spend, whether they go in debt or not. But Mono County, the buck stops here. And it's very difficult to deal with the turnover issue without talking about wages. And so I know that when I was where I spent a long time working for Mono County, and it was always a hand to mouth thing. The wages just cannot compete with DWP. They cannot compete with Caltrans, and it's very difficult. You wind up with a lot of issues with training inexperienced people, and sometimes it works out pretty well. Some of them pick up pretty quick to the issues and how to deal with them and what their work is supposed to be like. And other people struggle and struggle and struggle, and some don't even make it. But it would be nice if we had the wherewithal to raise wages and hire more experienced people. But that's not really the reality that I think Mono County has dealt. And I would be hopeful that with Rhonda's help, I'm glad that she helped Gilly, my neighbor, and I hope that there's a channel there that may be improved. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rhonda. Just take a couple minutes on that. That'd be fine.
Sure. Yes, I remember that situation and reaching out and connecting to people. And I appreciate that you think that you didn't have to call him, but that is actually one of the things I'm here for, is to connect the dots. But through that process, one thing that becomes very apparent is that when you're working within a system that has an internet or online based system, that doesn't actually work for everyone, especially when you're in areas that don't have the connectivity that they need. But it's also, those systems need a little level of friendliness to be able to use. And it's always something that needs to be constantly updated. When they were built, they were the state of the art. But if they don't have any particular update or maintenance or training or make them more user friendly, it's very difficult to operate the system. So I just taking it back and having some background within systems and working with things that are supposed to be user friendly. They're user friendly to the person that built them. So the feedback that it takes a long time, you can't find the answers online that you think you should, that's what we do need to hear. We do have a lot of turnover that we've experienced in the last several years, but that is getting better. It's improving, and stability in the county is really what we need to hear. So you shouldn't be afraid to call your supervisor if you need help, because that may be an area that we were totally unaware that we needed to have better outreach. So it can be frustrating, but our job is to get back to you as soon as possible and help solve those problems. But we will take the message to staff on how to improve and how to make it easier for others to interface and work with it, because we have the very same issues when we're working with special districts and how to get things done. So if you don't tell us there's a problem, we won't know, and feel free to call.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Thank you both. Any other questions out there? Give you a second. Anybody have anything? Okay. Well, it looks like we have answered everyone's questions, so that is fantastic. So I want to thank everybody for coming today. And, it's clear that you both love Mono and your district, and we want to thank you for your willingness to serve, both Rhonda and Loran. Thank you so much. And thanks to the audience for participating today, and Galen for your question. Last thing I wanted to say is if you would like to help out with Mammoth Voices to help make this happen, go to patreon.com/Eastern Sierra Now. And for more Mammoth Voices information, you can go to easternsierranow.com/Mammoth Voices, or download the Eastern Sierra Now mobile app from your app store today. Thank you for participating, and we'll see you next Thursday at noon. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Done?
Yeah.